Well, let's move on down to our very next story. It's got to do with one that a lot of Nigerians are indeed interested in. Well, many Nigerians will argue that Nigeria is not faring well and has fared worse since the current administration activated some of its policies. Though statistics say in the first quarter of 2024, Nigeria's GDP grew by 2.98% year on year, which was higher than the 2.31% growth in the same quarter of 2023. But this increase hasn't translated to a positive change in individuals' lives here in Nigeria. Well, from the economy to security, infrastructure, energy, power, politics, and electioneering processes, the general perception is that Nigeria, the giant of Africa, may not be a giant after all. Anyway, in a recent video, the convener of Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, had this to say about the state of the nation.
Tinubu's government is Yahoo government. So. Do you know who owns Mata? It's Tinubu's mother. That Abibatu Mogaji, the one that died. They will be the richest people in the world by the time Tinubu has done 4 years. This is not our government. Though. We have accepted that our job will be to liberate this country. How can you help somebody to build a refinery and you cannot repair your own? Subsidy. Which road have they constructed? You would expect that because they remove subsidy, everywhere there should be light, everywhere the roads should be shining, there will be employment. Nothing has changed in Nigeria since they removed subsidy. The only thing that removal of subsidy has brought is hardship and suffering. All the major political parties, as they call themselves, were all going to remove subsidy. So if you voted for Atiku, subsidy would have been removed by now. If you voted for Peter Obi, subsidy would have been removed by now. If you voted for Atiku, they would have floated the naira by now. Maybe naira will even be 1,000. If you voted for Obi, they would have floated the naira from now because they are not interested in Nigerian people. They are interested in the foreigners who come and cash out on the.
Lot said. Well, joining us now is Omoyele Sowore, live, joins us and via video conferencing. Good morning to you.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right. That conversation has indeed sparked a lot of reactions online, and it begs a question. And the question simply is, this is not the first time this conversation is being said in public or on video, or on tape, but how and where do we go from here? If you've highlighted these challenges, what are the expectations from fellow Nigerians?
Well, I think this is a video that is not new. I should say that. As a matter of fact, this video is almost immediately after Tinubu was sworn in as president. I was hosting a group of supporters in Abuja, and we had this conversation. But it sounds and looks new because it's like a prediction, a prophecy that's come to pass consistently, that this country is headed in the right direction, in the completely wrong direction, and the ship of state is unstable, and that it was part of this that led us to organize August protests that you're aware of, End Bad Governance, and also followed up in October. So anybody who's not still under any illusion that this country somehow will manage by itself or on its own to stabilize and make progress is who should have him or herself to blame. So it is for Nigerians to decide, as I've always said consistently, and I'll keep saying it, when it is that they want to be liberated from these conditions under which they have found themselves within the Tinubu regime, because nothing is going to get better. As you know, when I made this speech, the national grid wasn't collapsing as frequently as collapsing. The economic situation wasn't even as bad as this. You're discussing just now, before I came on your show, you're talking about petrol price, but nobody's talking about diesel, nobody's talking about kerosene, gas, food prices. And we are pretending here that all that we need to do is to help somebody who built a refinery to sell petrol. And we have 4 refineries that are supposed to be in operation and for which we're paying salaries, and nobody is asking when are they going to start functioning. And we get distracted all the time by irrelevancies in this country. So your question is, where are we headed next? Well, it's up to us where we're headed next. Either we go in the direction of petition or salvation, but it's up to us.
All right, we'll come back to talk about, the state of the nation in terms of economy. But let's look at another area, which is an offshoot of the End Bad Governance protest, one that you were very much in support of. We've seen that there have been minors that have been arraigned before a federal high court. Videos emerged on social media of these minors, some of them collapsing in court. They've been granted bail to the tune of 10 million naira and the shorty. Wanted to find out what your thoughts are regarding this situation and, how this administration has handled it.
Well, this tells you that this administration means no good for the Nigerian people. I have not seen in so many places in the world where kids, some of them below the age of 14, some of them 10 years old, are arrested, detained permanently almost, because they've been in detention for 90 days and more. In an order given by a judge in Abuja, somebody who's supposed to be a father was the one who gave the initial order that they should be detained. And then they're brought to court, and you've seen it. We've been talking about this. In fact, it was part of our demands for October 1 that all these guys are immediately released. And these are guys that are kids are supposed to be in school. You can't send them to school, but you have arrested them, you have detained them for a prolonged period of time. And most importantly, and which is the most terrible and most egregious, they are charged for treason, which carries death penalty. I mean, how do you charge kids who are supposed to be in school for treason? And if they are found guilty, they are going to be killed, because that is the penalty for treason. And what is their offense? That some of them were waving Russian flags, or they participated in the protest that has to do with hunger and starvation. You know that the country of Nigeria has lost its soul.
All right, Mr. Sowore, let's just please permit us to just take a pause here. Let's quickly, we'll come back to you. Let's join our reporter, correspondent on the ground. We do hear reports that we have the arrival of the kids who were trafficked from Nigeria to Ghana, and they are coming into our compound right now. Let's see if we can have footage of them as they come in. These two boys, or kids rather, were trafficked to Ghana. They were taken to Ghana for reasons best known to their employer back then, who had tortured them, engaged in a lot of illicit or illegal activities. The machetes as well were used on them. And there you see the bus arriving right in the compound. It's got to do with the arrival of these kids whose parents had thought they would never get to see them again. And there you go. That's our reporter, investigative journalist, Omoyele, who has been following this case very closely. We've worked closely with the Ghanaian police service. And they are the boys who are just arriving in the compound. It's been a long ride, by the way, but it's also good to have them come in right here as well.
I mean, it's great to see them. Sad story, but bittersweet. Bitter in the sense that this is happening. It's also a reflection of the government, or the government of the day in terms of, or the economy, I would say, and how tough things are. People are looking for better living conditions, and that in a way will foster and fuel conversations like trafficking. Yes, trafficking is a worldwide challenge, but when the economy is not as good as it should be, there'll be higher cases of trafficking. We're excited that these kids have been rescued. Congratulations to our new central team for doing this thorough investigation in collaboration with the Ghanaian police. And these kids will be reunited with their parents. They'll be meeting their parents today. And we hope that we'll be able to bring you live updates regarding this. So yes, there we have it. Now, let's bring back Mr. Omoyele Sowore into the conversation. We've just played a video of two young children who were trafficked from Nigeria to Ghana. And a number of these situations, we see situations of people trying everything that they can to leave this country. This administration has positioned itself, or has said a number of times, how very passionate they are about bringing Nigerians in the diaspora back into the country. They've talked about the healthcare sector and the work that they intend to do in healthcare to ensure that they can encourage young doctors to stay in the country and those who have gone to return. What actions, are there maybe one or two actions that have indicated in any way that the administration is serious about implementing policies to better the lives of Nigerians? And I'll give an example. Would you applaud the ministerial reshuffling, the rejigging that's happened, you know, and the new appointments that have been made? Would you say that this is a step in the right direction and that maybe, you know, we can see some light at the end of this tunnel?
One of the things I no longer do, and I would never do, is to be appointing officers for failure. There is nobody who can convince me and who has been able to convince Nigeria that rejigging a cabinet of failed individuals is going to make Nigeria a better country. That is part of what I call distraction all the time. We get distracted in different directions. The person and the place that needs to be reshuffled is the presidency, so that we can have the right people who understand economic development, who understand political exigencies, and who understand that the dignity of Nigerian people is the most important place, not changing class captains in a school that needs a brand new principal.
Very a tough conversation there in terms of who should be changed. You've talked about the president, but I think it's right. Let me go straight and direct my next questions to you. If you were the president right now, what would you have done differently, especially looking at how the economy is going? Because a lot of persons have said it's easier said than done. The president's policies are not working. What would you have done differently to elevate the sufferings, especially of Nigerians?
Well, I made it very clear, and I think it was in the video you played earlier, that I was the only presidential candidate, perhaps on record, who said I would never have removed fuel subsidy. And it's not because I want to grandstand, it is because all these small businesses, individuals, rely on this subsidy to survive. They rely on government support to survive. I have lived in a country that is regarded as a capitalist country, that is the USA, for 24 years, and I understand the place of government support for individuals and businesses in health sector, in the educational sector, in growing infrastructure. And you discover that the reason why some countries are doing better than the other is how much government they have in their lives, how much government is able to partner to ensure that economies function the way they should function. The second thing I would never have done is to have floated the naira, because in a country where you don't produce much, floating the naira in such a way that foreign exchange takes over your entire economy, and we are subsidizing forex, by the way, which is very foolish that you're subsidizing the naira, but you refuse to subsidize the people, because our government officials make more money from forex. In fact, the only product that is right now the most lucrative and functioning in Nigeria is forex. And those people who are supposed to be in charge of monetary policy are also engaging in selling forex. You know, they are doing both central banking and commercial banking as it suits their agenda. So the most amount of wealth that you can make quickly in Nigeria is to sell forex. And that is the problem. Very soon there will be another meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank, and they will increase, you know, interest rates, the most foolish economic decisions you can make. And I have no apologies for saying this, because their own position, which is driven by the World Bank and the IMF, is that if you increase interest rates, people will go and save money, and you mop up excess liquidity, which is an economic policy that has expired as far as even international economic policies are concerned. You only do that if your economy is functioning, if you are producing. But as long as you don't, and you rely heavily on everything and you import a lot, your economy cannot function by taking foolish economic decisions or allowing structural adjustment programs that expired in 1980 to become the central economic policy. We will have a people-centric economic policy. And I know that upon saying this, some people might jump on your shoe and say, oh, Sowore did not break down what he meant by that. No, the breakdown of it is that the people deserve the support of government. They deserve help. They deserve salaries and wages that can make them survive, living wage. You can't be paying somebody 70,000 naira a month per month. I'm not talking about per hour. People are making 70,000 naira per hour here, as far as work is concerned. And you ask people to buy the bag of rice for 100,000 naira, and then they have to transport them. So even Lagos, who claims to be the biggest African economy or West African economy, is paying 85,000 naira, and then they launch a train in which, if you travel by train to work every day, your transportation fees alone will take 60,000 naira. And when I challenged them, they had nothing to say, because these guys are not there for any economic policies. They are there to take care of themselves and their cronies, and further their own personal economic agenda. That's where we'll be different, because we would have had an economy. It was going to be a total change of socio-political and economic policy for the Nigerian people that would be in direction of ensuring that we put more money in your pocket, as opposed to taking money from you and putting in the pocket of a few. The 1% fabled Nigerians who they claim are driving private enterprises that actually are public enterprises converted into private businesses.
All right. I would like us to talk a little bit of politics. A number of the political parties, we're starting to see them falling apart. The All Progressives Congress has come under fire for how the state of the nation has been run. The PDP has been one that has faced a lot of tribulation in the past months, or would I say years at this point. The most recent being the drama in Rivers State, which many have said is beyond the PDP. Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, has been criticized for his quote-unquote impact or influence, I would say, in Rivers State governance. And I'd like to get your thoughts, because there are those who think that he is bigger than the party and the party is not able to question him. And there are others who say that it's the role of the president to actually subject him to control or actually discipline him. And that's not to say that Siminalayi Fubara doesn't have his own fair share of blame, but I'd like to get your thoughts on what's happening in Rivers State.
So that's exactly the problem. We never follow up on issues fundamentally, so that to get to, we discuss the root of the matter. Where did Sim Fubara himself come from? It was product of Wike. Wike was using Sim Fubara to steal River State money. As is, I think he was the Accountant General Commissioner of Finance. In fact, Sim Fubara was supposed to have been arrested by the EFCC. They used the judiciary to evade that arrest. They used all kinds of and manners of tricks to get him out of, the hands of the EFCC, and he becomes governor. And of course, what naturally follows is that, when two thieves are involved on this scale, the younger thief, and whenever he gets the immunity, he needs to become very dominant, because he knows how what will happen to him or her if he doesn't take care of the old thief, which is Wike now. And to Tinubu, people keep talking about the president should control him and all that. What did you think Tinubu hired Wike for? Is it not to come and do exactly what he's doing now? Is it not to help? Because the reason why Wike got the job he got was because they helped them make election in Rivers State. You don't want to talk about that, because they never won election anywhere. They never conducted election anywhere. And Wike is doing exactly what Tinubu wanted him to do. So everybody's there pretending that suddenly Tinubu is concerned that Wike is destabilizing Rivers State. No, I have said it completely, and I'll keep repeating it, that these guys love crisis, because the more of these ungovernable spaces they impose upon Nigerians, the less they have to be responsible for actually governing any space at all. So if there's crisis in Rivers, you have crisis in the southeast with continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu. You have crisis in the south northwest. You have crisis in the northeast, and so you just have less space to govern. And then when you have less space to govern, what do you need to do? So the more of this crisis they put out there, the better for them in terms of accountability and responsibility for governance. But people don't understand that. You keep shouting Wike every day, as if Wike is removed today, they won't find another criminal who will take his space. And because this is what Wike was hired exactly to come and do in Abuja, to help destabilize wherever they can destabilize. Wike is the only person in Nigeria that I know who belongs to more than one political party. Well, maybe Tinubu himself, because Tinubu is a member of a lot of political parties on that ground. So, but this is exactly what he was hired to come and do, and there's nothing here to debate.
Well, Mr. Sowore, I mean, those are kind of strong words. Many
I
would
use
ask.
strong words because I have to express myself as strongly as possible. And I always warn you guys, if you want to have me on your show, you got to let me express myself because I'm responsible for what I say. And if anybody feels that what I said, they're not happy with it, they can take me to court. You're free to arrest me if you see me. But I'll defend myself any day. You know, like we used to say with Fela, let them carry me, I'll open book for them.
All right. We're running out of time, but I'd like to take your thought on this. While the miners were arraigned in a federal court in Abuja, of which many have said shouldn't have been done, the lawyer, the counsel to the federal government, by name Rimazonte Ezekiel, had something to say. I just want your reaction to this video. Take a look at this.
All of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. The small kids you are seeing here, they came with some of their parents to come and greet their loved ones. They are not even the real suspects standing trial in this case. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria. Imagine the level we find ourselves now. Do you know how much it costs us to be at this level of a democracy in this country? These young boys are trying to destabilize Nigeria using the Russian flags and other countries, calling on the military to remove our president. Is it fair to even remove the state governors that they don't want democracy again? If you don't like democracy, are we forcing you?
Mr. Sowore, I'd like your reaction to that video.
You know, my reaction has been expressed by the lawyer behind him. By the way, he's a police officer. He's a police lawyer and also a police officer. So this is the kind of characters you have. But you never have a shortage of this kind of terrible, terrible characters in Nigeria. In one breath, you said these guys are married, and then in another breath, you say they are kids, and now they came with their parents. And, you know, this is the kind of national disgrace that we are facing because of the kind of government we have in place. You don't have to blame this lawyer. You should blame the Nigerian state and the mess it has become because of, and if you see this level of thinking, it's not just at the level of the prosecutor, it's all the way to the presidency. This is how they think, you know, very feeble, you know, minded, very incompetent bunch of characters that has thrown the state into a state of both physical and mental darkness. It's very sad, but hey, we're talking about Nigeria here, the giant of failure.
Well, there are so many conversations that have been had. Several sentiments have been expressed. I don't think that you're isolated in the feelings of disappointment that you've expressed in a number of these issues. Omoyele Sowore, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, and have a nice day if you can.